Blog Talk Radio.
Where's our host?
If you are happen to be riding on public transportation, or you're in your vehicle, riding your bike, walking home while listening on your device or devices, I want to welcome you to Dr. T's Philosphy Cafe. I am your host, Dr. Thomas Mallory Hill, and if I am gracious enough today to be blessed by the presence of Mary Stanley. Say hi, Mary.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good. You know what? You made my day complete now, because we saw each other a little bit earlier today, and you made me realize that I'm still doing 4 meetings every hour. So thanks for that reminder. Today is August.
Yeah, there's
29th.
only 1 hour I can guarantee a week where you're only having one conversation at a time.
That is exactly right, Mary. One conversation. In fact, the conversation today, I want to take you back to March, when we were having this idea about this show and the kind of things we were discussing. And then I want to say at the very top of the hour to be grateful for you, Mary, and the Hope Network to optimize my life. All the things you have given us opportunities to be present on this live broadcast. The area code is 714-816-4686. If the lines are open, we have people who would like to chime in. But I want to give also credit to the Atlantable.com, the platform, all the ambassadors and group leaders, all of the 9+ million members who make up Atlantable.com. Without which I wouldn't be here today, neither would Mary, and our, at least secularly, our opportunities to exchange ideas and philosophies. This show is kind of put together to delve into depths of, we want to explore different and complex issues, really just try to engage in a lively discussion about maybe fundamental questions that shape our existence. When we look at a show like this, we're not trying to be controversial or to be caught in the present moment of what's socially acceptable or not. But I do want to say that this program delves into maybe a profound and complex idea about what defines our existence, both theologically, philosophically, historically, all different kinds of different points of view. So today, without belaboring this, in March, I was exploring the topic, the idea of increasing our faith and confidence. That could take on a broad range of avenues and definitions, okay? But I want to revisit that. And a lot of people are finding their way in business, and all of us are back to school. Teachers are not already bemoaning the fact, but they're excited to have their students at all grade levels, so they should be. If not, students are excited because they're at a new grade level or just getting started. And for those who are bemoaning the fact that, oh my goodness, here we go again, another school year, more school supplies, more teachers who don't know my children, or the students who don't know their teachers, this is the week or the last week of getting to know you and making a difference in the lives of children and students. So today, I want to explore that, Mary, if you don't mind, just kind of rehash that. I'm going to ask you, for those of you who are using Perplexity AI or Chat GTP, I want to say something else about different topics, whether you're doing a podcast, live radio broadcast such as this, or any other mode of learning. Chat GTP and AI and all of these other tools, Google and Wikipedia, they make learning a repository of finding information, whether it's vetted, maybe it's not reliable. It just gives you an opportunity to have a conversation. Maybe you're Googling the faith and confidence. But I want to start with a standard, if you will. about two characters, a few more, by a guy named Abram, and he was married to a lady named Sarah. We know them later because they had a name change as Abraham and Sarah. When it comes to the conversation about faith and confidence, I want to use those two characters as participants in this discussion. If you have a different character or a different story, you're open to share that at 714-816-4666. But before I go, Mary, are you doing pretty good today? How's school back for you and the kids, and how's that working out for you?
We start Tuesday, and it's going to be chaos. Because both my kids are specials. They're both autistic. And the IEPs are done at the end of the school year so that they can hit the ground running this year. Problem is my son's IEP, he has made every single goal. It has been a summer of growth. He is now verbal. He is now starting conversations. He is answering questions. He is interacting. He is being a little turd. By a sense, he's just being a boy. I'm good with it. So right. Tuesday, we are scrambling with getting the professionals together to do an emergency IEP so that they can get him the services he needs to start the school year out right.
Sure. And it's interesting that, as I was saying earlier, this has gone on in some districts. Some schools started a couple of weeks ago. Some are on different schedules, block schedules, where students go to school year round. But back in that arena as I once was, and I'm not missing it. But I do realize that I spent the better part of almost 30 years in public education in Chicago, and its surrounding suburbs. And I must say that there are students who I may even be listening, other colleagues who may be listening. I wish you well as our lives move forward. So here we go. A couple of characters, Abram and Sarah, are having a conversation. These two people happen to be senior citizens. They were 99 years old. Abram was at least, and Sarah was right behind him. And he was told that God, there was going to be a covenant made with him, and that he was going to be the father of many nations. And this guy was told to leave his mother and father's house and go to a country that he wasn't going to be familiar with, and he gets up and he leaves, essentially. And that took, after a certain amount of confidence and faith in the God that he was serving, who for him was invisible. And they go on this journey, right? Well, he's also told that he was going to have a couple kids, or at least one son, and his name was going to be Isaac. But here, the wife is like, yeah, dude, we're 99 years old. That ain't even happening. But he gets visited by an angel of God, and he makes this statement that he's going to be this father of many nations, and perplexed. And how's this going to happen? His wife was so, in verse 7 of Genesis chapter 17, when he's saying he was going to make this covenant with him, and that they were going to have this land of Canaan, and it was going to be an everlasting possession. So I'm not trying to preach a sermon, but I'm just trying to set a tone that says that here this guy gets a chance to talk to God, or at least this angel of God, and the covenant was that he was going to have his flesh circumcised, and that was going to be a token, some versions say, between he and God. Now, I don't know about most guys today, and maybe the topic is not appropriate, but circumcision or uncircumcision, nevertheless, that's the token. And yet, when we talk about faith and confidence in the generic sense today, that topic, how would you look at faith and confidence, Mary? Not that you have to be circumcised, but the fact, just the topic itself. What does that mean for you? And if our audience, if we have some listeners who want to come in, the lines are open. What's your definition of
Incompetence?
Faith and confidence.
Faith and confidence? Oh,
yeah,
and I said incompetence.
No. Competence. Confidence. CONFID.
You know, your faith gives you confidence. You know, having that higher power, and people misinterpret this as a crutch. You know, we lean on our faith. We use our faith as an example, or as a weapon, or as a blame when things don't go our way. But in a way, this is going to be the wrong way to say this, but when you have faith and you believe in the higher power, it helps you see things differently. Because, you know, my slogan in my business is you follow the mission. Follow the path that God provides you, not the money. So when you follow the path, and some days it's the billboard, blinking lights, you know, the movies, Looney Tunes, you know, dummy go this way. Others are subtle. But when you follow that path, the money will follow. Businesses are people that are so focused on the money aspect to the point of desperation, they're going to keep struggling.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot with Alignable and networking, and how so many, when you're in the Christian or the faith-based groups, these individuals can talk more freely about their business. They're more open and confident about it, as opposed to some of the generic networking groups where they have to read a script about their own business they created, or they're sitting there going, they're afraid to talk.
Yeah, the freedom of expression isn't there, you're saying.
Correct. That and it's like they're not sure what to say. It's that the confidence to be able just to speak out or hide in the shadows.
Okay. If there are any listeners on, if anybody, again, 714-816-4686, please feel free to chime in. I just did what 99% of the people who are under the age of, well, I should say maybe not under, but over the age of at least 12, and you're under 30, you might have looked at Google or ChatGPT or Perplexity, as I just did, to kind of cheat a little bit, Mary. And here's what the conglomeration, or at least Perplexity's concept is. The faith and confidence are closely related but distinct concepts. Faith is defined as belief not based on logical proof, often involving trust in the character of God despite circumstances. It encompasses a deeper conviction that does not rely on evidence or past experiences. And that's why I opened up this topic using Genesis chapter 17 to 22, because the story of Abram, or later Abraham, Sarah, or Sarah, encompasses what this definition, this conglomerate says. It's like there's this deeper conviction that does not rely on evidence or past experience. Whereas confidence, on the other hand, refers to a state of certainty or assurance about something. And it may be often based on prior experiences or knowledge. So, as you just said, Mary, some of the people who, to use a secular concept first, unalignable. People come to that platform. It's a relational media platform, not just a social media platform. And if we have anyone in the audience who's listening, you may or may not be a part of Alignable, well, I would recommend that you kind of check them out for free. But when you go there to a site, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the social media platforms, whether you're there for TikTok, whether you're there for dating or just putting on photographs or whatever your intentions are. Maybe you're trying to, the favorite word today is monetize. You want to make money, and you believe or you're confident based upon some experience that you have had that people will buy your goods or services or products. But so much so, if you don't have a job and the only way of earning revenue is through social media, you get to be what the common nomenclature of the day is. You're a little bit thirsty, a little bit desperate, and you wind up saying and doing things that make you perhaps not authentic. Maybe you're not honest or ethical, and you say things just to stick your hand in someone's pocket, as I've articulated. You're not. Maybe you have a good product or good service, but you're so bent on earning money, making money, you cannot see the good maybe in people or maybe the service that you provide. And yet someone else, maybe, I'll just use me for example. Here we are, Mary and I, both of us, we are here speaking to you today on August 29th, did not know each other at the beginning of the year, could not see how this was possible, but Mary did. And yet there was a young lady by the name of Robin Edelman who actually works with the Todd Huff Show. After listening to me and speaking and engaging in conversations with me, said, Dr. Hill, you need to meet Mary Stanley. Boy, she's something. I think she's got a heart for people. She's got some things that need to be, you two need to match up, and you guys will be a powerhouse. Well, in many ways we have, Mary. I don't know, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%.
And for you and I, it was all based on faith. Our faith in God, our faith in each other, the things that we've been able to manifest, the things that we've been able to bring not only to ourselves but to other people. And I look at it as amazing, but some would say, who are more theological or more spiritually minded than I am, well, I'm not surprised, Dr. Hill, because God got his hand on you and Mary and the people whose lives you have touched. When you started this year, Mary, you were not an ambassador on the Lineable. I'm just celebrating my first year. And yet, for many people who aspire to this occupation, this volunteer position, they don't have the wherewithal. Maybe the mindset isn't there. Their ability to impact and invoke their leadership skills to help others, if it doesn't include a dollar, they don't want to hear about it. 714-816-4686. The lines are open. If you're going to be listening to this recording, go ahead, caller. Is that you, Mary?
Not me.
Oh, hey, Nigel. Welcome. Hi. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. I just wanted to honor you by participating. Just for the record, I think the question is the distinction between faith and confidence.
The topic was kind of how to increase that, but yeah, the two, yes.
Oh, how to increase faith and confidence. Mm-hmm. But before I give my opinion on that, I just want to let you know that I had to speak about you today on a call. They said, does anyone have any testimonials? So I'm like, I got one. So I was like, should I say it? Yeah, but I have one. I'm going to just share. I have one. And they're like, okay, and they turn on your hand and they're like, Nigel. I said, yes, I have a testimonial. And it's about a brother. And his name is Dr. Thomas Hill. I just joined Alignable. And I said, let me see. I wonder if there are any PhDs on it. So I searched the word PhD on Alignable, and up comes this brother, Dr. Hill. So I just said, connect. And that was it. Next thing I know, I have an avalanche of people scheduling to meet me. I don't know this brother. I've not met him. But there's about 50 people trying to get on my calendar to meet with me. And when I do meet with them, and one of them was Mary, they are the perfect match of who I'm looking for. Okay. And so I said to these people on the call, you must search for and connect with Dr. Thomas Hill, because that guy will make magic happen in your life. So that was my testimonial for all of you guys listening. Go to Alignable, search for Dr. Thomas Hill, and your life will be better exponentially. Okay?
Let me get some tissue.
Have
Hold on,
faith.
Nigel. I got to get some tissue. Go ahead, interrupt. Go ahead.
So that was my testimony. I started with that, and it was an act of faith because prior to getting unalignable, I had prayed to God. I said, God, I know I'm doing your work, but I can't find the people that you have sent me to serve. And one of my clients said to me, Nigel, I just found this site, Alignable. It's a bit like BNI, except they talk. I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to go to another BNI. No, this is different. They really actually meet and talk. I'm like, okay. And he said, you should go to that because you need to talk, Nigel, and these people talk. So I'm like, okay. And I went on day one. I met with one of my clients, my ideal customer. And so I was like, oh, this is faith in action. I believe or trust, I mentally believe that there's a spiritual power that is acting in my interest, for my interest, looking out for me, benevolently considering me. And the only barrier between me and this entity, which we'll call God, is my asking. And somewhere in the scripture it says, ask and you shall receive. I mean, before you were yet asking, I've given it to you. But you have to believe that you're going to get it. So I prayed, and next day, with a very little small amount of faith, Dr. Hill entered my life and blew it up.
God blew it up. I happened to be the vehicle he was using that day.
That's right. God uses vehicles that are ready to be used to blow up other people's lives. And I would like to testify that Dr. Hill is one of those vehicles that God is constantly using to magnify people's lives, and I'm a beneficiary. With regard to confidence, that seems to be, I agree with the complexity, whatever, that is, confidence is like memory of faith in action. So every time a magical, miraculous faith event happens, I store it in memory, and I go, you know what, if it happened before, and if it happened to Dr. Hill, and it happened in the past, then it can happen again, and it can happen to me. So that's where confidence comes from. Evidence has seen, whereas faith is evidence not seen.
Interesting that you said that. There is another, I want to give another biblical reference because there was a guy, currently they're filming other seasons, but the movie The Chosen has completed, 4 seasons. If the audience, if anyone has not seen that, I would, if you're looking for something good to take a look at, that would be it. But anyway, there was one of the disciples after Christ died by name, but not me, but his name was Thomas Didymus. And anyway, Christ has died, been crucified, but he told his disciples he was going to meet him in Galilee. So the week after the crucifixion and his resurrection, Mary and the other 11 were there, and they said, "Hey, Thomas, that's what we just saw, Lord." And Thomas like, "Dude, I'm not listening." He probably not have said "dude," but I'm using the word "dude." I'm not believing that until I see, the wound in his side and his hand and his feet. I'm not believing. Like you just said, Nigel, some of us have to see, not that he did believe necessarily. What I'm going to say is he may have had faith in God, and he would have been one of the chosen had he not been. But when he did reappear, and Thomas was with the other 11, and Jesus says to Thomas, "Come over here, take your hand and thrust it in my side, and look at my hands and my feet." And then an astonishment says, "Oh, my Lord and my God, believes now." And Jesus retorts and says, "Blessed are those, happy are those who have not seen and believe." Have to see to believe, but you're better off, and that's where the very essence, you just said, Nigel, and what these definitions include and what the scriptures say, faith is the substance of the things that we hope for. And then there is a manifestation or the evidence of the things that we see. And as you alluded, whether it's me or Mary or the friends that we are acquainted with, the professionals that we are acquainted with, that after having been introduced, whether it's me or other people unalignable, we truly can say that we are edifying and having an impact on each other's lives via the show, via Joe Wesley's or Dr. Wesley's The Hot Seat that you were recently on. And it's interesting, as Mary, and you might want to speak to this too, because I know I heard you say it. We've been on various Smart Connects, particularly with Chuck Castro, and have offered other people to come on and have their shows. Am I mistaken, Mary? Is that still available to people who are interested?
It is. My shows on this network are all based on viewers' list of what they request.
So it's not just Dr. T. It's step up, get the chance to meet Mary, talk with Mary, and have a little faith that Mary can produce an opportunity for you, but you can't come here with nothing in your hand. And what I mean by that is I don't mean it financially necessarily. I'm sure Mary, if she's taking donations, would not turn yours ones down. But what I mean by that is you can add value to the person's life. She's giving you an instrument with which to enlighten and brighten their lives. This broadcast and others like it is a godsend for those who have something to, pass on and to share. So, matter of fact, Mary, because I did have to write this down, but I didn't have to, but I did it just for you because we joked about it last week, that during the week of September 11th, the day that Dr. Hill forgot, but that none of us ever should, that week on the Hope Network, Mary, tell us what's going on in terms of what we're doing to commemorate the day that's unforgettable. So go ahead.
So, in conjunction with this radio show, all of our shows that week will be all about 9/11. So we eliminate the original programming and we have a theme. And I do this for different things throughout the year. But our theme is all going to be about honor, remembrance, and respect. And it's about honoring those who we've lost, but also honoring those who sacrificed it all, who decided to run out to the recruiter's office and sign up. It's about the families that donated their time and their money, the people who did so much to help each other out. It is to remember that feeling that we had that day. Yeah, it was sorrow, sadness, and tragedy. At the same time, it was hope. And for so many years after that, it didn't matter what color you were, what your IQ was, if you were homeless, if you were in a mansion. We had that feeling of community. And we have gone so far from that, we need to bring that back. We need to not forget, this is our version of Pearl Harbor.
Interesting that you said that, because while many of us on this call were not there physically, and yet my father, as many other parents, men and women, served in World War II, that brought the nation together in a way not unlike any other. And yet, whether there were tragedies that befell, but that's what happens in war, those men and women who have sacrificed their lives, that generation called the greatest generation, it was known as, the volunteerism, the things that people came together. And yet, we can look back at any war and at any conflict around the world, the ones that are going on today. You have different sides and different ways to look at that. People point. While we though, as citizens, not being in a war-torn environment, it looks like it's senseless, and it will never stop. Yet, there is a God who sits high and looks low. There are people around the world who do fear God, different nations, and yet cooler heads must prevail if we're going to have some cessation of that. Now, what we do with that going forward, that's another story again altogether. But the faith and confidence that we have to have in our fellow man, as you said, Mary, there has to be coming together. The area code is 714-816-4686. Nigel, if there are other callers, please chime in for that. Hopefully you'll be with us that week. Seeing none, let's continue on. We've reached the bottom of the hour. I do want to say I missed a meeting yesterday. I don't know if you were on me with Chuck's Wednesday Smart Connect. For some reason, it wasn't on my calendar, and there were other meetings that I was attending. But I missed it when I'm not there because of the camaraderie and the things that we share. But last year, or this year, the unraveling.com and Chuck Castro as the PR director, his team put together a contest called the Local Business Person of the Year. And all members in Alignable can participate in this contest, and it's a very easy contest of sort because each paying member will be given 10 votes to vote for their local, right, you do business. And the premise is you look at this and say, well, who has contributed the most perhaps in their community locally? And you vote for these people. Oh, Mary Stanley is in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, for example, and she's great in Canada. Oh, my goodness, she's the best person, and so I'm going to give a vote for Mary. Or Nigel is down in the great state of Florida, and he's been changing people's lives and stuff. I'm going to say something nice about Nigel and get testimony. Here, Nigel, here's my vote. Well, the impetus behind that contest was that there were people who were doing things on the lineup locally, and you would vote for those people. Well, as you would have it, I don't know about other cities, but Chicago has been known for its politics. And back in the day, I won't say which administration, but it's been a storied tale that people in Chicago vote early and they vote often, and sometimes for the same candidate over and over again. But we've since cut back than we used to be. On Alignable, people were voting and selling votes and saying things like, I'll vote for you if you vote for me, or I just rescued your grandmother's cat, vote for me, or something goofy. All kinds of things were popping up and people were getting votes. And so it turned out that when Chuck started putting out a list of the top 15 vote getters or the top 25 vote getters, and then there was the top 50, and then the top 100. And then he did a list of the top women, the top men, the top in Canada, the top in America, that people really just went crazy. And so I normally have the list of top 20, and you read it off. I'm not doing that today because I want to give credit to people in the top 50. But if you're findable, and on a Wednesday at noon Central or 1 Eastern or 10 Pacific, 11 a.m., join Chuck's Smart Connect. Because these are all the number one and the number two who are participating in the contest last year. I've already thrown the gauntlet down, so to speak, a couple of occasions and said, if anybody, I'm number 19 out of the top. If you can be giving and doing better for your local community, it's on. Let's see what we can do to help people. So we have fun with that. Any callers? Go ahead, caller. Just speak up, please. I can't hear you.
Oh, I had a question, Nigel.
Mr. Henry, is that you?
Yeah, I just had a question about your recommendation. I know I would like to contribute more, and I'm assuming that you get to this top position by giving service the most? And if so, what is the recommended practice for getting to this top position of, the reward is for something.
Yeah. Well,
which I assume is giving.
Let's say it's
so you're asking how to get in the top position?
Yeah, what is the secret sauce for...
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you the
Go ahead,
secret
Larry.
sauce.
You tackle that. Go ahead.
Joe McKenzie, Brooklyn, New York. I'll tell you the secret sauce.
Who is this? Wait, hello, Joe. How you doing? Go ahead, Mary.
Secret sauce. Oh, okay.
Wait, Joe.
Go ahead,
Hold on, Joe.
I want to hear Joe first. Joe's like me. He's got a smart comment. I want to hear it.
Joe, go ahead, Joe.
How you get to the top 10 is that you have to give service and value. You're not looking for any return. You are authentic and rendering a service and helping people. And the word spreads organically. As long as you're authentic, that's it. I got attracted to Dr. Hill. I heard about him, and it was crazy getting hooked up with him. And it's the best thing that happened to me because he got the fire in my belly going again. I'm 86 years old, and mentally I'm feeling like I'm in my early 30s. Physically, I'm 110.
Why don't you top that, Mary? Let me hear what you got to say. Go ahead.
Well, I only had one thing to add to that, and that is, not only offering the services and following the mission of helping others and doing for others before the money, but networking, going to events, putting your word out there, and not so much promoting your business, but talking about aspects of you and your business. Like Nigel, what I love about when I connected with you is you have the ability to read people. And you are able to understand them at that level that only very few can actually do, and give them advice on how to help them, help their business grow.
Okay.
Emphasizing that. Like when we talked, it was all about the words we shouldn't use.
Yeah. And
different things like that. Go ahead.
Yeah. But I was going to say to Nigel's question too, and Joe, you hit it on the head, and I know you're new to Alignable. It's interesting that a thought that came to me, and I remember sharing this with Nigel some weeks ago when I came up with and telling my team, my Redox team, that if you start to ask people, what does it mean to love your neighbor as yourself, and you apply that principle secularly in business, that's the secret sauce, Nigel, for me, because when you find reasons to give, as you said, Nigel, in terms of your definition of what that meant to you, giving, you can't beat God giving, and you can't beat those who follow God giving. If we're playing that game, follow the leader. If you look for opportunities to serve, if you look for opportunities to love, if you look for opportunities on Alignable to go to different smart connects and meet people, not for the sake of a financial transaction, but for the sake of building social capital. When you're starting a company, you could fund it one of two ways. You could use invest capital, stocks and bonds, right? Or you can use debt. Well, 99% of the people who fund their companies with debt or some hybrid, some companies, organizations need that. I'm an equity guy through and through. This preferred or common. And when you can get people to buy into your idea, company, service, I'll just say the guest's name. If any of you live in the state of Florida and are looking for an equity person, John Blevins, who I met today, you need to connect with John Blevins. In New York, Sean Ryan, oh my goodness, I forgot your last name, Sean. I got to look at my notes, but connect with Sean. There are people out on Alignable who are looking for individuals who are looking for equity. There are tons of people who are looking to loan you. I met one, I'll just give him a shout out. I believe it was Eric Ramirez, who I met yesterday. There are people like that who are looking to give funds, to give revenue. Oh, there's so many. I don't even want to start naming names of people who are givers on the platform. You just have to meet them. And so, Nigel, the secret sauce, keep introducing others, as I did to you. While the IT people kind of tweaked that a little bit, so you can't do as many as I was doing back in Q1 and Q2 a little bit. But, yeah, God brought us together because I didn't know you, and you were bombarded. And I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just saying, hey, if I just keep introducing people, it's up to them to make the contact. I don't know. I don't have any favorites. But what I've learned in that process, the faith that I had in myself, and it brought me more confidently to keep doing that. I'm able to teach people that. Keep introducing people. Doesn't hurt none. And besides, you might find your ideal customer, ideal person. So that was how I would answer your question for the secret sauce, Nigel. Try to beat people giving. There you go to 714-816-4686. Today's topic is a little bit about faith and confidence. And if you've got perplexity or ChatGPT or all these things, here's a question: what role does faith play in coping strategies of people with chronic fatigue syndrome? How about that one? It says faith plays a significant role in the coping strategies of individuals with chronic fatigue syndrome, CFS, Charlie, Frank, Sam, and people with chronic pain and fatigue, including CFS, often turn to prayer and seek spiritual support more than the general population. Spiritual engagement is linked to better psychological well-being and positive coping strategies. What do you young people think about that one? And it could have been anything. It just happened to pop up as it says about CFS.
I just want to check that I heard the question correctly. Can you say it again? It's like,
yeah,
how
what role does faith play people with chronic fatigue syndrome?
And chronic fatigue syndrome is where you have pain all the time?
People have chronic pain and fatigue, is what it says here. Yeah, so that's interesting.
Well, this interesting thought came to me as you're describing it. Recently, in fact, there's a guy on Alignable, I think it's Felix, a brother.
Oh, Victor
you know
Felix.
What I'm talking? Victor Felix. And he is a super giver, right? He just, every call up on, he just sprays out marketing advice, and he does these quotes. And in one of his quotes, he said, oh, yeah, Michael Jordan's personal trainer, says, I pay you so that you don't train anyone else. I'm like, I didn't know that Michael Jordan had a personal trainer. I thought it was Phil Jackson. No, there's a personal trainer who only trains Michael. So I Googled this guy. I've forgotten his name, but, it's on, he's out and about. And so I'm like, I need to know, because I'm about greatness, and if Michael has a secret sauce, like, I want to know about it. And lo and behold, it's this guy. He's he's the one that does the physical fitness of Michael. And so I Google him, and he's on YouTube, different people interviewing him. And one of the things I heard is that he gets the call at 2 a.m. when the rest of the team is sleeping, and Michael or Kobe or any of, he only had 5 people I mentioned, they have an injury, and the cure is surgery, but there's a ring at stake, and they cannot stop in the middle of the series to go and get surgery or drop out. So they call him in the middle of the night, and they get on their jet and fly to Chicago in the middle of the night to get his workout treatment I'm like, what in the world can you do when someone has an injury that needs surgery, but they're so committed to playing the next day that they get on a jet and fly from L.A. to Chicago to work with this guy, right? And he says, I give them exercise that makes their mind have faith in their bodies, even though the body's injured. I'm like, what did he just say? The body has chronic pain/injury, and the mind has to instruct it to leap and do a shot anyway. And I'm like, that is some level of faith that you must have. And then he recalled, and I had another memory related to that, is there's a guy, his book is called You Can't Hurt Me. It's a brother, Navy SEALs. You know who I'm talking about? It's,
right up, I do not, sir.
Yeah, if you Google You Can't Hurt Me, you'll see him. But he's basically a Navy SEAL. And this guy ran up and down a mountain with a broken leg for days, just to show that you can have chronic pain and still do performance. So that's what came to mind when you said people with chronic pain fatigue. And I don't know what that is, but I can imagine that the body's in physical pain. And then you said they turn to faith, which is related to the theme that you brought up earlier, a belief or knowing that God can do miracles despite conditions. And I'm thinking, wow, I wonder if that's what Dr. Hill meant by people with chronic pain turning into faith.
Just because I've been playing with this, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to preempt you, but just because I've been playing with this tool, and I put in You Can't Hurt Me thinking I was going to bring up this author, it came out with, are there any mindfulness techniques that help manage chronic fatigue syndrome? And it says mindfulness techniques have been shown to help manage chronic fatigue syndrome by providing psychological and physical benefits. Mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, MBCT, Mary Boy Charlie Tex, has been adopted for CFS patients to help them become aware of unhelpful behavioral patterns, develop acceptance, improve self-care, and reduce stress. Hey, Mary, just made me think about something. Can you imagine using this technique in the neurodiverse community that we were talking a couple of weeks ago, whether they be students or adults? I forgot the gentleman's name you were working with. More people, like you just said, Nigel, there were more trainers, more people who were or are, able to impart the kind of mindfulness to be able to increase our faith or increase the opportunities to reduce or alleviate, as it says here, mental stresses. What do you think, Mary? Does that be a good technique to use with children on the spectrum or who are neurodiverse?
It is. I already incorporate it into my therapies because here's the cool thing that a lot of people don't understand. So neurodivergent, a lot of autistic children, they live in a world of fact. They don't understand theoretics. To them, things are just black and white with a little bit of gray in the middle. But a lot of these children understand the world of faith in God beyond our comprehension. There was a 6-year-old, he's now 12, that actually explained the Big Bang Theory to prove that God existed and how without God we would never have had the Big Bang Theory.
Wow. There are other callers. Go ahead, speak up, caller.
Well, Joe McKenzie, Brooklyn again. Mary, when you were talking, mentioning your kids, how old are they when they started school?
So they were 5 and 4. My son started a year early.
Got a question to ask you. I live in New York City, and one of the things New York has instituted they have, I don't know what to call pre-K or daycare. And kids as 6 months old or older start intermingling with other kids. And they pick up all these different skills. So they're not, when they get time to go to the kindergarten or first grade, they're already adjusted. It's not being thrust into a whole new atmosphere. I realize just speaking with you now and all the different things, I raised 2 daughters, and we were very fortunate. We were able to use our nephew, who was a little bit older, that we started teaching and intermingling with a private daycare. And the attention that was given them then, the attention that was given them at that time, when they got ready for school, it was just playtime with them because they knew everything. And they were able to acquire social activities with other kids. But my thinking is, if we're homeschooled and you're not socializing, you're doing everything else, but there's the other skills that these kids need. They need to be active.
And here's the double-edged sword to that. So I agree with you 100%. But because my kids are special, because they are autistic, society has decided the best form of action for them is to put them in a room with a bunch of other kids like that. But yeah, we're supposed to teach them how to, and that's it.
No.
That's how a lot of our schools operate. I don't agree with that either.
No.
So my kids go to school online on a charter system, so that they get to communicate with other kids, but they also do activities in our neighborhood outside our school. So they get to do that socialization to make up for what they don't get, because I don't believe my kids should know what their problem is other than their brains are wired differently until they get older.
Okay, like I say, I'm an older person now, and I look back on my life, and I see different things come full circle. And I realized, a long time ago, I realized that certain people who are blind, they're given other gifts, okay? And when these children, what they say is autistic, that's BS. These kids, some of these kids are so bright, we can't comprehend them.
Yeah.
I got a little nephew, Zaire. His mother takes him on the subway, and he's having all sorts of problems. Then all of a sudden we realize he's fanatic over subway trains, and he knows every stop along the line in the time. But you know how much that is? You know how much brain power that is?
Yeah. And interesting, and that's a good segue for me, Joe. We've got 5 minutes left. I want to say, so we've not gotten away from. We're just amplifying. You're increasing your faith and confidence, and these questions that this tool has presented. And Nigel kind of got me on this. What I was trying to look up an author about, You Can't Hurt Me. This tool took that and said, hey, here's a conclusion to this, Dr. Hill. Overall, quote, you can't hurt me, end quote, is a powerful affirmation. This is what it said. That's what you started up here. That's a powerful affirmation of strength, resilience, and self-empowerment. It serves as a reminder that individuals have the capacity to protect their emotional well-being and navigate life's challenges and confidence. If you're feeling this way, it is a positive sign of your inner strength. How about that?
Absolutely right.
I agree 100%. And what's really funny for me, this is where smart kids are a pain in the butt, because my kids are very smart. And I never planned to outsmart a 5-year-old. I had everything figured out on how I can outsmart a teenager. I never figured out how to outsmart a kid. And so they figure out loopholes in the system. So, for instance, my daughter figured out if she screws up, no matter how little or how big, if she prays to God And God forgives her no matter what. Mom can't get mad at her and not forgive her because God outranks Mom.
That's a pretty good one. Well, listen, we've got just a couple of minutes left before the show ends, and I just want to conclude. This is an application of something that we had a conversation with back in March about increasing one's faith and confidence. And I started out with a baseline about if you've never opened up a Bible, go read Genesis chapters 17 through 22. I'm sure there are other characters you get this information. I just started there. But then it morphed into, as we were delving a little bit deeper, thank you, Nigel, for your comments. Boy, you just know how to keep me crying and keep me embarrassed, but you too, Mary. But there's enough to go around for all of us because we are all givers of some sort. And a Bible allows us to spread our wings, if you will. I'm thankful and I'm grateful to the individuals who get the opportunity to meet and talk with on a daily basis. The lives that we don't even know and we don't have to know that they're being touched or changed. I have the faith in God that he's using me to do just that. And not that I need to be paid or compensated. The fact that I'm still here when I was told in 21 that I had 4 or 7 months to live, and the fact that I'm still here, not only is there a purpose, I understand it, and it's the way I'm going about it. I'm not all excited that I'm fearful because I know where I'm going to go. As people I've heard others say, but I can say that with confidence. Well, I know where I'm going when it's done. And I heard other TV evangelists say, well, Dr. Hill, that's a dumb statement because everybody's going to heaven. When I heard that statement, I was like, what? Well, sure enough, in Revelation chapter 21, he was quoted the right scripture because that's where judgment will be taking place. So, yes, we're all going. The problem is we all ain't staying. So you haven't figured out which way you want to go while you're still vertical and alive. You have an opportunity while you're still breathing to make a choice of where you want to spend eternity. However, since the judgment is going to be there, and that is not philosophical, and for those who are of the persuasion that they don't think there is a God, the joke might be on you when you get there, and it'll be too late to change it. And for those of us who have chosen to not take advantage of the potential that is within us, as I read that statement about mindfulness, the conclusion to the conversation that you can't never be is a powerful affirmation of strength, resilience, and self-empowerment. If you're feeling that way, it's a positive sign of your inner strength. And I'm just going to add to that your faith and confidence as well. So whether you're on the spectrum or not, whether you can't even find a spectrum for you, I had a professor say that everybody is a special needs person because we are all intellectually challenged at something. Will Rogers said better back in his day that we are all ignorant on some things, just different subjects. So I want to thank you all for letting me have a part of your day. I appreciate all the participants that we had on the call today. You've made it special for me. Hopefully those of you who are listening to this recording during the weeks to come, that you find some enjoyment and it made your life a little better. I want to sign off, Mary. Looking forward to are you going to be on next Thursday, Mary? I think we are.
Next what?
And if we are, have
day?
a great Labor Day, everybody. All right.
Okay.
Thanks
yes,
a lot.
we are on Monday, and Joe, either tonight
yes.
or tomorrow, I will send you a lineup of all the shows.
Okay, just give me a personal call when this is finished. I want to speak to you for a minute.
All right. Have a great day.
Oh, yeah, not a problem.
Pardon?
Not a problem.
Thank you.